Hello, everyone. This is LFC Transfer Room, and whilst many of you have been thinking Arne Slot's been a bit, Arne Slot's, we've not seen much of him. It looks like he's closing in on his very first signing of the summer. Arne Slot looks to be closing in on signing a free transfer and getting them involved in next season's Liverpool squad. Now, to help me break this sensational news of the first player coming in for the summer, we've got Brandon. How are you doing, sir? Monsterate, my pilot on Spotify.
Monsterate the pilot. Oh, podcast I have on. No, I'm happy to be here because it is a monumentous day. Of bringing in Slot's first signing on a free as well. Just business is booming at the moment, and I'm just over the moon to be able to talk about it with you.
I mean, he's practically confirmed on the Liverpool website. If any of you haven't been on the Liverpool website, they published a brilliant article talking about the players and stuff like that. And now they were talking about players like Matip and Thiago who've been let go, Mulineski, who hasn't made the grade. And there's 10 players that have been released. But what they did sneakily confirm is that one player in particular, one fan favourite, one game-changing impact has been offered a new contract, and we're pretty confident he is going to be the first signing of the Slot era. I tell you what, Brandon, I'm holding it in. Do you want to tell everyone who the first signing of the Slot era is going to be? And I'll add Tom into the stream.
I'll hold back the tears as I announce this guy makes $60,000 a week to do the job that he does. It's a beautiful thing to be welcoming back Adrian into the squad, to make sure that this contract gets signed. Maybe it's a lifelong deal at this point because maybe he's deserved it. I don't know, but I'm over the moon about this one, that Adrian is staying in the training room, I guess, for another season.
I mean, some would say he's obviously got nudes of John Henry's wife hidden somewhere to be getting paid $60,000 a week to never play football. Could you imagine getting paid $60,000 a week to just be good vibes in the club? But I tell you what, he's pulling it off, Tom. It looks like the first signing of the Slot era. How excited are you that we've got someone about to sign a new contract, and that is going to be Adrian?
Oh, buzzing. Yeah, we'll be able to sleep tonight, to be fair. And it's a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Like, as you said, how long has he been here now where he's just not played? He's not even playing like the Carabao Cup games. He's in the stands, and he pretty much it's beyond belief, to be honest. And obviously, I saw some people saying he's taking up a homegrown spot as well. I'm not sure how that works, but I believe he's taking up a homegrown spot as well, which just kind of adds to the confusion over the whole thing, to be honest. But yeah, bizarre really. When you got Kelleher there, still you got Pitaluga, you could try and integrate a bit more, get him some experience. Just a bit mind-boggling, to be honest with you.
I mean, the thing that blows my mind with all of this, if you take Scott Carson's 38 years old, and is, I think, someone will correct me if I'm wrong, if Helios in, will correct me if I've got this wrong, is the most successful English goalkeeper in Premier League era. And the guy's never played a game in anger. But because you're a goalkeeper, you do get all the trophies, all the medals, all the awards that go with it because you've got to have a number of 3 registered. So Scott Carson, who basically just turns up to be good vibes, is in theory the most successful English keeper in the Premier League era. Now, Brandon, does this mean that we're trying to create the most successful Spanish goalkeeper? And I mean, there was rumours Reina was going to be coming back, which I'd have been all for because I actually do think he's good vibes. But no, Adrian it is.
Yeah, I don't know. The more I think about it, I think the whole he's got something on the Henrys or something. It just, as I said, taking up a foreign player spot just is I don't understand. I don't understand the thinking of it, but he must be just the greatest person in the world in that locker room. Like there must be people who are weeping at the idea of him leaving or something that they just we can't. It'll destroy the morale, or maybe Slot just views it as it's so important to keep him. I've been trying to wrap my mind around it since I read it this morning. I'm I did just nothing about this makes sense. It didn't make sense last summer. It makes even less sense this summer. How old is Adrian now? He's 30. What? 9?
Yeah, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just. I don't know. And then I guess maybe
37.
37. It might just be that maybe they do see Kelleher out the door, and they just want them to have like a little more experience also in that room as understudies to Allison. Like that's the only maybe thing I could think of is maybe they just want a little bit another veteran voice outside of Allison in the goalkeeper room with the coaching. If Kelleher's out the door, if Yaros is stepping in or Pete DeLuca takes a step up, like maybe that's the thinking, but I don't know. It's one that's going to probably keep us befuddled all season.
I mean, John puts it really. Jaros has just won the league in Austria, and he fully deserves a chance. So I think, for me, what this signing represents is Kelleher's probably going to leave, and Kelleher's been open. I think we talked about this last week on stream that he actually wants to play first team football, and as much as he'd love to play for Liverpool, he accepts he's not Allison. So he may have to leave. So I think Jaros is probably going to end up being number 2. Petaluga's another name. It's worth it, but Jaros has just won the league, so he's had some first team experience with Sturm Graz. It's, signing Adrian on a contract, as long as it's not 60 grand a week. That's the thing that bugs me. Nat Phillips is on 60 grand a week. Adrian's on 60 grand a week. Kelleher is on 10. And who contributed more of those out of those 3 players? And he's on infinitely less. Tom, what are you all right with the Adrian signing? Are you all right with the new contract? And that's the player we're talking about. Adrian. Liverpool have confirmed on their website that they've offered him a contract after it expired. So we're anticipating Adrian to be Slot's first signing of the summer. Tom, what do you think in terms of this?
I mean, I'm not a big fan. Like I said, to be fair. I mean, it's not the biggest problem in the world. He's experienced, I suppose. I mean, wasn't exactly a good goalie even in his heyday, but I can't make a case for him if I'm honest with you. There's too much money for someone who doesn't kick a ball. That's as simple as that, really. You could spend 60 grand on a very decent player or a good up and coming player.
I mean, rumour had it, Tom. Rumour had it. Slot, on his first day at Liverpool, failed his mandatory GDPR training 3 times, and Adrian came in and saved him by giving him the answers. So Slot was going to be sacked before he even got started because obviously he failed his manual handling and GDPR mandatory online training. But thankfully, Adrian came in, and that means another 60 grand a week minimum, doesn't it? By getting him involved.
Yeah. Can't make a case for it. I'm sorry. I can't think of one good reason to keep him, if I'm honest.
Especially when you consider like that 60 grand could go towards a pay raise for Trent, pay raise for Virgil, or money to go to other places in the squad. As contracts are starting to come up on some very key players at the club, it's a head scratcher unless he's taking a big pay cut, which to do it, I mean, fingers crossed, but I don't know. I'm with Tom. Every single time I come up with an idea of why, it still doesn't really make sense.
No, I haven't thought about this one, Tom, but Jamie Hughes puts a really good explanation for me. Like, Allison wants him at the club and more often leadership behind the scenes. Why not make him a coach, put him through staff training? There is actually an image of Adrian, Matip, and Joel and Diego Jota have just completed their UEFA B license. So there is something to the Adrian coaching, getting involved, but to my money, hasn't Allison got Taffarel at the club because he wants to work with him on his coaching? So how many coaches does a first choice goalkeeper need?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I can't really think of that being a reason either, to be fair. Who else we got? Allison, Kelleher, Pitaluga, that Jaros, as someone in the chat mentioned. So you got 3 young goalies there. You count Kelleher, who could get valuable experience from even Carabao Cup games. And as we've seen, has Adrian played in the last 2 years?
No, I don't
think he's 3 years. I don't think he's made an appearance. So, just as again, I'm just a bit baffled by the whole thing, to be fair.
Well, I've said this on stream before, but the third choice, it used to be for me, second choice goalkeeper was the best job in the world. Now, for me, it's third choice goalkeeper because you still get all the medals being third choice goalkeeper. If you end up having to play, it's because the second choice goalkeeper has got a red card or got injured or something like that. And normally you come on, save a penalty that no one expects you to save, or you concede a penalty everyone expects you to concede. If you play bang average but make a couple of good saves, like, I did better than we thought, and you get paid 60 grand a week for it. I mean, what a job. What a job. It literally is the dream. You get trained by all the best coaches, you get all the best dietitians, you get all the best medical advice, you get everything that you could ever need. And all you have to do is go to training, be a good guy, and never play football. I would sign up for that job in a heartbeat. Now, Brandon, I'm going to throw this one to you. Will Kelleher attract £20 million offers? I mean, Forest just signed a £2 million young keeper, so I wonder if they would now. Celtic not likely to pay. How much? Kelleher has said that he wants to play first team football, and I think that might be part of the reason why they've offered Adrian a contract, because Jaros will probably step up and they'll keep Adrian around. How much does Kelleher go for? Is 20 million too little?
I would think so.
26?
Yeah, I think like 26, you're kind of really heading into kind of your peak years as a goalkeeper. And especially goalkeepers tend to have a longer peak as well. I mean, you're kind of signing him for his best years at this point.
25.
Trafford went for 35 last year or something like that at 20 with hardly any experience. Like, there's no reason why. I know the market's a little bit different this year, obviously, with a lot of teams against FFP. Nobody's quite as active as they've been in years past, but still, I mean, if how he played when Allison was out, there wasn't that much of a drop off as you'd expect going from the best goalkeeper in the world to your second choice. Like, I would imagine you'd have to get 35 million with at least for him, especially with how other deals have went. Maybe at minimum 25 if Kelleher really pushes for a move that you kind of like, reward him. But at the same time, I mean, that's not really what a ruthless club should do, is just, taking less money to get rid of somebody just because they want to go, whenever it's like, we need to get the market value for him. And I mean, as a player with his experience, he played well in Europe. He played well, in cup finals. Obviously he scored the game-winning penalty in the Carabao Cup final a couple years ago. He played great in this year's, making saves near late in the second half, kind of keeping that game alive for us to kind of take it in extra time. There's no reason why it's not at least 35 million for Kelleher. Like, I mean, you could really say maybe 40 if you could really get a team who's desperate for a goalkeeper. I think you can get 40 out of him at least.
It's one of those, isn't it, though? I think there needs to be a market for him, and there needs to be a couple of teams vying for his signature to sort of up it. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to think that, Southampton have just come up, but Banzu's their number one keeper, who's the Irish number 1/number 2 as well. And there's a couple of clubs that might be interested, but I can't think of a good list, Tom, of players. So, I mean, I'd let Kelleher go for 20 million. I think he's done his dues at the salary that he's been getting paid. We have, for me, got maximum value out of that £10,000 a week. How much would you let him go for? Are you, Brandon, let's get it up to 40, or would you accept something a little bit less?
I'd be wanting to hold out for 30, to be honest. I mean, as long as he's happy, which, I don't know if he is or not, but if he's happy, I'd be doing everything possible to keep him, to be honest, because you're going to really struggle to, find a backup goalkeeper that's the similar quality to him. So, yeah, I don't really see, unless he's really, really, really pushing for a move, I don't really see why we'd settle for, an average fee or below average fee. I think we need to get, the maximum value for him, because he's, a quality goalkeeper. He's shown that on multiple occasions this season. And we know Alisson has his injuries, so we do need that backup goalie to have quality. So yeah, I'd be certainly wouldn't settle for less than 30 million, to be honest. I think like I said, he's a quality goalkeeper and someone we do need going into the season for all competitions.
Now, this question's come up twice, which is question: how much influence does Arne Slot have on transfers? We've got it here from Big says, how much influence does Arne Slot have on transfers? I think for me, when you start to think about it, obviously, yes, we all know Mickey Edwards loves to sort of play the stats, play the role, but I think he's part of that committee. I think he's got a vote. I don't think he controls it the same as what, say, Klopp did. Brandon, but I think he's got a voice, and I think he can say if someone's completely out of the realms of no, no, no. I think Adrian's just an easy contract signing. I don't necessarily think it's an Arne Slot decision. I think this is probably a Mickey Edwards decision.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like, I think Slot has more of like a say on the profile. Like, this is the type of player I want, and then it's Edwards, Ward, or not Ward. I'm sorry, Hughes. Their job to kind of find that profile that he wants, help him identify. Maybe he has like, hey, these are two players. Maybe Slot can then make his decision on which player he should go for. Yeah, I think kind of more of the Adrian is more maybe the system to players. I think somebody put in there that they couldn't find it, but they said like, Adrian was described as as a father by one of the other teammates. So it could be just that he is that light in the dressing room. The coaching thing kind of makes sense. But yeah, I think Slot's kind of role in the club is to kind of give the profile, and the backroom staff finds that profile for him, and then makes the signing and does the business.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis has zero belief, Tom, that he thinks it's all Richard Hughes who's doing Julian Ward's jobs and Mickey Edwards and that side of things. I feel he's got a vote, and he talks about his style of play, and he looks at players in the transfer committee and says whether or not he thinks they can fit their style of play. Obviously, Adrian's not going to play, so that's kind of a chilled vibe. Is he a good person? Do you think he gets much? Do you think he's going to have much of a say, or do you think he's just going to have players enforced upon him and it'll be like go?
I definitely think he's going to have a say. It won't be zero input. Yeah, I think that obviously they'll sit down together, but by the sounds of it, Julian Ward or Michael Adams will have the final say. I think he's been appointed as head coach, hasn't he, Slot, rather than manager. So I think that probably suggests that he's not really going to have too much of a say. In the background, he's obviously just going to be coaching the team more or less. But I imagine he'll have some sort of a say. It's not exactly backing a manager when you're just forcing players upon him. As we've seen with Man United, they spent the money, but it might not have always been the manager's kind of choice. Might have just been a bit of a commercial choice, or for other reasons. So yeah, I'd like to think we would give him at least a say. Because that for me is backing him properly with money and with as I said, giving his opinion. But yeah, I do believe he won't have the final say on the players that we bring in.
Now, for anyone that's just joined us, Liverpool are closing in on the first signing of the summer transfer window with Arne Slot, having been, not being seen around, not doing interviews, not being seen anywhere and stuff like that. And suddenly it looks like we're zooming in on the first transfer signing of the window, because Liverpool have put on their website the players that it's retained list following the end of the 23-24 season and the confirmation of departures of several senior and academy players. One of the things that Liverpool have said on their own website is that contract offers have been made to senior goalkeeper Adrian, who has made 26 appearances since joining the club in August 2019. So there you have it. Liverpool are zeroing in on that solid third choice keeper. Some people are saying, does this mean Adrian's our number two? No, I think Jaros will end up being our number two. I think Kelleher will end up leaving, is based on some interviews that he said, and I think Jaros will be given us thing. And I quite like Jaros as a keeper. He's a big 7-foot intimidating type of player. He's just won the league with Sturm Graz. So again, it's that Liverpool academy, Brandon, bringing through more players, bringing through more potential first teamers. There's a few links to us to external number two goalkeepers, but I don't really see us spending our money there this summer. Do you?
Yeah, I don't think that'd be the need money-wise, because we do have, we had Peter Lugi, had Jaros, because really the fact that he won a title in Austria with Red Salzburg sitting there is kind of a massive, what he did a cup double, I think. So that's an unbelievable achievement. We have players in the academy to come into that role. I just don't think, unless there's just a fantastic deal for the right player, right time thing, there's no reason to really dip into the market for goalkeeper just to be the backup. It's just not where the money needs to go, unless, like I said, it's just got to be the absolute perfect deal, like somebody who can grow into Allison and they're available for 500,000 or something just unbelievable, where this is a deal once in a lifetime type stuff.
Yeah, Tom, I'm not trying to scare everyone that's on stream, but I think the only way that we go into the market for a goalkeeper is if Allison gets touted to Saudi Arabia and a big money comes in for him from that side, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't see that being a priority position at all. You know, the only thing would be if Kelleher obviously leaves, then I'd like to think we would get someone in. I would like to think that Adrian's not going to be our standing keeper. That would be a bit concerning. But yeah, if there's no outgoings, which I don't really fully expect, then yeah, I don't see us bringing a goalie in, and I certainly don't see Alisson going to Saudi at this stage of his career. He's still only 30, 31. He's got multiple years left as a top quality goalkeeper. So yeah, I don't see that happening at all.
Now, one of the things that also came out is there's a list of players Liverpool have released and will be releasing from the youth squad and the first team squad. And somebody did put in chat, but there's been a lot of chat since then asking who are the players that we're getting rid of, who are the players that are coming in. So here we go. Joel Matip and Thiago Alcântara are set to leave the Reds with the expiry of their contracts. I think everyone knew that. They got a little moment, didn't they, in the sun? I was hoping that Adrian was going to be shown the back door. Seems like he's getting a new contract. Then you got Adam Lewis. He was a great prospect. I think he's 24 now. I don't think it's really ever come together for him. Melkamu Fraundorf is another one from the under 18s, under 21s. He featured twice for Liverpool's first team, but never really progressed. The one I'm most gutted about is Matthias Mulineski. That guy. The Poland international, I really thought he was going to come through, and he actually did play this season, and he looked really, really good on the ball. I think he's probably not going to struggle for some offers. I think he may end up in Germany. I could see him at one of the Red Bulls. I keep linking everyone to Red Bull Salzburg because obviously that's where Pep Linders is going to be, but I could see that. It kind of makes sense. And at academy level, Nathan Giblin, Francis Guimaraes, Luke Houston, Niall Osborne, and Cody Pennington are all set to leave the Reds. So that is the list of players that are leaving. Now, the first one that we've got to recognise here is Joel Matip the best free signing Liverpool have ever made, or is it Gary McAllister, or is it James Milner? Where does he fit on your free signings, Brandon?
I think he's right behind Milner for me. Like, I wasn't around for McAllister, so I can't really 100% say. I know that goal against Everton is still one of my favorite highlights I've ever seen, but I put Matip just beneath Milner. And it's like almost it's apples and oranges at that point. It's as great as
you can't write it and I can't say it. There you go. See, it's a good job he's leaving.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges between like Milner and Matip. It's like just one day I may think it's Matip, one day I think it's Milner. It's just, his run in the Champions League final year where we won the Champions League, he was immense beside Van Dijk. I know I've talked a couple of times that, you could say that he was better than Van Dijk for part of that season. Like, he was that good down the stretch. Obviously, injuries kept it. I think that's why I'd put Milner above him, because Milner was always available. There was never that question of, if he gets hurt, how long is he going to be out? Milner was always there and always did everything that was asked of him, including being a better left back than any of the other left backs that actually play left back at our club. So that was, I think that might put it over, the whole season of left back Milner probably puts him as my favorite or my best free transfer of the time I've been a Liverpool fan.
What about you, Tom? Where's he ranking your free transfers?
Yeah, very close. Sas McCoy between him and Milner. Obviously, I think Milner played more games. Matip to struggle with his injuries, but in terms of the level of the performances, I think Matip at his best was world class, to be fair. I'm not sure you can ever say that about Milner. He's a great servant, but not a top level player. Whereas Matip, I think at times he was absolutely world class. He had everything for a centre back, outshone Van Dijk even at times. So I would probably just about give him the edge. But yeah, it's a very close one between them.
I think the thing for me with Matip, and what had really cemented it, is Matip used to go on these big mazy runs, didn't he, drive forward with the ball and stuff like that. And if he'd have just done one of them and slammed it in the top corner, I'd have been so happy. But it was like he was wearing clown shoes and he was just so in control of everything. It was just amazing. Now, for me, I really, really struggled to, and he only made 55 appearances for Liverpool, Gary McAllister. And he only scored 5 goals, but I think all 5 goals were worldies. And I think what Gary McAllister did in terms of Steven Gerrard's development was insane. I think he turned him into an absolute beast of a player. I think McAllister's third for me, actually. I think I probably agree more with Brandon. I would put I would put Matip second and Milner first. And I would say Milner has been world class because he holds the assist record in the Champions League for a single season. And I think that level of performance when we were that good in the Champions League is world class. It's just, I kind of get what you mean, Tom. You can't say ever Milner was a world class player in this position because I don't think he ever has been I think he's just the ultimate square peg in every round hole, really, isn't he? So I kind of get what you mean, but yeah, it's hard to look past someone that just is just sheer blood and thunder when you think about Liverpool and what Liverpool are. Now, Brandon, we're going to move on to, and we're only going to do this quickly. I'm just going to, right? So I'm telling the chat now, get your rant out your system about it. Guys, get your rant out your system about it. We're going to do a quick 10 minutes on it, and then we're going to move on and we're going to ignore it. Man City are obviously trying to, at this moment in time, sue for, well, get a legal ruling on the basis that they're being discriminated against by the bigger clubs with the bigger fan bases because they don't have the same level of support and everything in order to financially compete with clubs like Liverpool, Manchester United and Chelsea. Therefore, shouldn't it be okay that they want to state sponsor some of these sponsorship things and stuff like that so that it can be a fair and equitable training and opportunity? Now, I will start the rant off and I will let the chat get on their rant, and then I will pass over to you, and we'll only do a quick 10 minutes on it. But here's the thing for me. Football is a fan's game, and it's about the money the fans put into the sport. Everything Liverpool generate is generated by the fans. The money we've wasted on Thiago's contract, generated by the fans. The money that we've signed players for, generated by the fans. Whether it's sponsorship, whether it's anything that happens, every sponsor expects to make a return on investment from Liverpool fans when they sponsor our football club. That's how it all works. That's how everything's put together. So when you've got doping and someone that generates more money than they're going to get back, they're actively trying to lose money. Therefore, you start to remove it from a fan-based game to a state-sponsored based game. And that's my big issue with this. And the thing that bugs me, and the thing that I'm, because obviously a lot of it's been going on today, the thing that really bugs me with this is if they drive this through, if they get this judgment that basically means football is no longer a fan's game. It's a billionaire's playground game. It turns into Formula One, turns into that type of sport. And I'm not for that. That's not what I think the Premier League is. It's not even what I think the Champions League is. I get Real Madrid to some have quite a lot of state support in what they do. But if you look at the global reach of them and how much their prestige is globally, they do generate a lot of income as well. And I think where Real Madrid struggle is their league is suffered because of how successful them and Barcelona have been. But I can't get on board with this financial doping because it therefore then stops it being English Premier League is not a fan-owned game anymore. It's a state-owned game. And that's the thing that's bugging me with all of this. So really annoyed that this legal case is going on. Really hope it gets shut down uber quick. It's really good that all the Premier League clubs have stopped and gone, we're not signing this new deal with the Premier League until the outcome of this comes, because that's showing a statement of intent. And it's even better that Newcastle have agreed with this as well, because that is a huge statement of intent for state ownership and state sponsorship. They understand, as much as I don't agree with some of the ownership models and stuff, they understand what it means for a fan-owned game. Now, that's my rant. Brandon, go on. I'll give you a quick 2 minutes on it as well.
I don't. It's absolutely. I saw today. I think somebody posted in the chat about Man City talk about how they're going to have to raise ticket prices because of this, or they're going to stop youth development. And it's like, but don't spend $100 million on players like that. That probably can save you from having to raise ticket prices. There's all these little things that they're kind of threatening about how, this is the reason why we have to do it, and it's complete bullshit. It's just one of the reasons why I decided to get into the footy here in America was because I kind of got sick of the billionaire model that is dominant in American sports. And it slowly has kind of infested its way into the Premier League, like everybody's owned by the same few people. It feels like, all right, I hear a whole bunch of the same names that own American teams, but at its heart, it's completely different still over there in the Premier League. It's still at its heart different. There's still the competitive edge. Once you decide that the states can start, inflating their numbers and really shuffling out the little man, there goes our dreams. Because really, if I wanted to, I could come over to Liverpool right now. We could start a team, and if we get licensed, eventually we could play in the Premier League if we got so lucky. This is a way to just shut us out. I want this to be dead and over with. I want the 115 charges to hit. I don't know. I kind of want the footy to be back. I want the competition to be back to what it was, to not where it is. But I'm an old man who's just shaking his fist at the sky at a certain point.
Before I get no, Tom, do you know what are you thinking on this? What's your opinions?
Yeah, I mean, as a wise man once said, I think it's sign of the times, really. Yeah, I think that's just the way football's going now. It is becoming, very kind of state oriented in the top level, or very money oriented in the top level. Obviously Newcastle coming on the scene now. You got City, you got Chelsea, even the other clubs. Even though Aston Villa aren't like that, the amount of money that Aston Villa can spend, the amount of money that Arsenal, like the amount of money that is in the Premier League is absolutely scandalous, to be honest. And yeah, this Man City thing's just a bit odd, because if they think they're innocent, I don't know why they would do this. I think it kind of screams of a bit of guilt and a bit of fear of what could be coming their way. Probably a bit wishful thinking there, but I just don't see why they need to do this if they feel like they're going to be completely innocent. So yeah, I'm just hoping for the Premier League have the bottle to produce the right outcome, but don't hold much hope in them, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be really big for the future of football globally for me, because I think it's one of those, FIFA are pushing for the World Club Tournament, UEFA are pushing for this weird Super League through the back door, Champions League. This potentially kills different competition for different ways. I'm not blind to the fact Liverpool were purchased for £375 million and are now worth over £4 billion, and the owners of Liverpool are richer than God. I'm not lost on that, but I also get that all that growth has come from fans, from fan investment, from Liverpool's global fan base, from monetizing Liverpool's global fan base and stuff like that. So I kind of get where the money's come from. Now, a couple of things that have happened whilst we've been on stream. Breaking news. Calvin Ramsay has agreed a loan to Wigan Athletic. And I think he's had a bit of a false dawn, Calvin Ramsay, if you really think about it as a player. He was meant to be coming in, maybe he'll challenge Trent, maybe he'll do this, maybe he'll do that. But at 20 years old, he's been farmed out a couple of times now, Brandon, and it's kind of important that he takes this opportunity to play with Wigan, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. The key to him, obviously, has been health. That's been the big issue. Is just, I know he went on that loan to Preston last year and then immediately got hurt and never could get into the team. So came back, went to Wigan. Right, he went back to the Wigan for the second half of the year as well, I think. Yeah, and it's just, I've liked him when he's played, but it's just been so few far in between. I remember he played I think a Carabao Cup game or maybe an FA Cup game a couple of years ago where he looked like, we've got quite a player here if he develops, and it just hasn't. It's been start and stop. What I think was a foot injury his first year, and it just hasn't really stopped coming at him. Injuries bug, which for some reason everybody has been snake bitten those last few years of the Klopp signings of just having an injury bug with them. I like Ramsey, but this is kind of a put up or shut up season. He really needs to take that big step that Connor Bradley did at that level, that Kwanzaa took at that level. It's time for, if he's going to make it at Liverpool, this is the year that he's got to show that it's still a possibility.
Now, Tom, he played in the 22-23 season. He made 2 appearances for Liverpool. In the 23-24 season, he made 2 appearances for Preston. In the 23-24 season, he made 4 appearances for Bolton Wanderers in League One. Obviously, Wigan are currently in League One. it's good for them to get a strong right back player in. If he can have a good season, it'd be really great for his development and everything like that. I think probably he's thinking, what chance have I got here now? Because you've got Trent, you've got Conor Bradley, and then there's a few other players, like Isaac Mabea and stuff like that who can play right back. So I think he's probably thinking, I need to get out now to get my opportunity. I need to get out to play some games, and the only way I can get value is to play a good season. Is that how you see it, or do you think he could make it into the Liverpool team?
No, being brutally honest, I don't see a future for him here, to be honest. You got Trent and Conor Bradley who have got 10 years in front of them, and Trent's a world-class player. Conor Bradley's been absolutely outstanding, this year at playing at a top level, playing, in the highest, level games, Premier League, title running, and he's delivered. So, yeah, it's like, if I'm honest, it's hard to see a future for Calvin Ramsay. Obviously, we've not really seen anything of him to judge him properly. But yeah, to be honest, I think it's best for his development if not this year, next year, he moves on a permanent, just for the sake of his career, really. I think he needs game time at a permanent level to settle down somewhere. And it's clear as day that he's not going to get that here, unfortunately.
I think this screams of a Edwards Jr. signing for me, which is send him to Wigan. If he can get a good season at Wigan, his value will go up, because obviously Wigan should be in the promotion chase and stuff like that. And then suddenly, he can sell him to Bournemouth, because that's what Michael Edwards always sold everyone to Bournemouth for, like 15, 25 million and stuff like that. So for me, it seems to be a sensible move for Liverpool. John's saying Wigan is a good move, prove himself, get a good transfer fee for him, but everyone seems to be of the opinion it's transfer fee type move. Brandon.
Yeah, I agree. It's if we're gonna, I think we paid about $4 million for him. If we're gonna make any profit off that, he's got to have a good season. I think there could still be a way in, especially if Trent in the midfield becomes a thing, and also now it's just Conor Bradley, Joe Gomez at right back. Maybe there's a way back in the team for him, but really it is kind of we need you to kind of either inflate your value here or show us something, because it's kind of one of those two things. We can't have him go out there and have 5 games this season, and then he's just going to be on the books, and eventually he'll be like Musalowski or Frondorf, and he'll be just a name at the end of the season that not on the retained list and stuff. So this is the year he's got to do something.
Completely agree. And, if you think Ramsay can make it into Liverpool first team, let us know in the chat, put it in the comments. Do you think this is a move for a transfer fee? Do you think this is a move to get into the Liverpool first team? Let us know, that we're here to sort of discuss these types of things. I think I'm kind of with the guys. I think it's transfer to make some money. I'm not quite like Brandon. I don't think there's a pathway back for him, but I'm always happy to be proven wrong. Now, some transfer news. Obviously, Liverpool transfer news. In the media watch, Milan push forward as Liverpool threat grows. Milan are close to contract talks with Santiago Gimenez as they look to fend off growing interest threat from Liverpool, saying that we're interested in Santiago Gimenez. Now, whilst you both look blankly up who the player is, let me pull up some information for you so that you can sort of seem informed. He says, when he's just completely messed up the pulling up of the information. Gimenez is currently playing for Feyenoord. Big shock. Liverpool are linked with another Feyenoord player. Estimated to be worth around about £40 million. So again, the transfer fee seems around about that. But he's a striker. Now, Tom, do we need another striker? Oh, you're on mute. That was me.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, I wouldn't say so, to be honest. I think as long as we keep Salah, as long as you got that goal scorer there, then I wouldn't go out and buy a striker. If Salah goes, then it's a different story, because it's hard to find someone off that right who can produce 20, 30 goals a season like Salah can. So at that point, you do need a goals, number 9, a goal scorer. Whereas while you still got Salah there, you're guaranteed 20 odd goals a season. So you can afford the more profligate strikers like a Núñez, like a Gakpo to be in there. So, yeah, for me, I wouldn't say it's a priority position at all, really.
I'm kind of with you. Now, let's just, if we look at some of his stats, 41 appearances, 26 goals, 8 assists. Now, again, this is in the Eredivisie. This is in Holland. So you've got to take that with a pinch of salt, because obviously look at Nunes' stats in Portugal. To me, it kind of doesn't make sense to put all that money on a new striker that is probably functioning in a similar league to the Portuguese league, to go, okay, well, let's put him in charge instead of Thing, but maybe obviously Slot knows him. I don't get the link, to be completely honest, Brandon. I think it kind of makes more sense for AC Milan than it would for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more just we've signed his former manager and just using Liverpool to try to either drive up transfer value, drive up a contract offer. You'll see that a lot this time of year. I don't think we go for anybody from Feyenoord unless the deal is right. I don't think they'll be looking to obviously sell people being in the Champions League. But, obviously being Feyenoord, it's not like they can keep players from going to Liverpool, AC Milan if they really want to go. No offense to them. It's just the nature of the business, being in the Dutch league, being one of the non-Ajax Dutch league team. Kind of the same thing with the Eredivisie league. Like, I remember when Josie Altidore scored like 30 goals a season, I think for AZ or something like that, then came and became the worst striker in history when he played for Sunderland. So it's just such a weird league to kind of translate over to the Premier League. Not that we don't need a striker is not maybe the wrong term. If the right deal's there, I think we could use like just an out-and-out goal scorer, like one who just one chance, one thing, kind of like Jota, except not with the injury issues. I could see that maybe being something that could be on the table, just somebody to rotate in with Nunes up top, somebody who has a little bit more maybe composure, maybe somebody that Nunes could feed off of as he develops. I don't see this deal being the one, though. It just doesn't. I don't think it makes sense outside of just it's Arne Slot's former striker. That's probably the only thing that makes sense about any of it being a Liverpool deal.
Now, one of the guys in the chat has said, in terms of players, would you guys sell Jota? I'm straight away going to say no. As much as I'm aware Jota's not available for 2 months of the season every season because he seems to get injured, I also think he comes back and he scores straight away. What are your thoughts on someone like Jonathan David? Curious why he hasn't had the move yet. And do you know what? I think that's a really good point. Players like Jonathan David, players like Kefram Thuram, they're kind of going to make that choice soon, aren't they, in terms of do they go play for one of these big teams or do they stay within the leagues that they're in? Both the Liga and is kind of that breeding ground at the moment, Tom, for some exciting players. Seems very much like an Edwards type of thing to pluck one of these players and move them into it. But I think also there's some clubs that are inflating value because they hear Premier League's coming and it's potentially ruining people's careers. Thuram was meant to be asking for like 200 grand a week when he's on 15 at the moment.
Yeah, wouldn't be a bad sign. How old is he? About 23, is he? Something like that. Yeah. Obviously he's showing promise. Obviously Jota, he's struggled with his injuries. He's 27, 28 now, so it wouldn't be the worst kind of swap. I think a lot of people would agree if we could get a good deal for Jota this summer, maybe 50 mil or more. I think probably would take it. We know how good he is. We know how good he is in front of goal. We know
we signed him for 45 mil. Why would you sell him for 50?
He doesn't play. He doesn't play, does he? Like, no, for me, I like I said, I rate him so highly. I think both feet in the air. He's got it all, but he plays 10 games a season, 10, 15 games a season. Like it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it anymore for me. And I think as he gets older, that's probably only likely to increase. So for me, I wouldn't actively want to sell him, but if you get a 50, 55 million offer for him, I probably would take it. And someone like David wouldn't be the worst shout in the world. But like I said, I wouldn't say a striker's a priority particularly.
Tony seems very certain about this. We won't sell Jota. There we go. 32 appearances, 15 goals, but 1,711 minutes he played. So if we convert that into 90s, because 1711 divided by 90 is the equivalent of 19 games, and he got 19 goals and assists. Kind of reinforces Tom's point. Kind of also goes, why would you get rid of something like that? But again, it's all about if there's someone there that wants to pay what they want to pay to get a player like that, would you let them go and stuff like that? Now, for anyone that's joined us late, I'm just going to remind you, Liverpool are on the verge of signing their first player of the new transfer window. It's practically been confirmed on the Liverpool website. If you go into the story about players that have been released, they will tell you that they have offered a contract to out-of-contract goalkeeper Adrian, as Liverpool look to really build a squad capable of challenging for the Premier League. The final thing that we're going to move on to is, I don't know if you've both seen it, but there's been a supercomputer. And this supercomputer has predicted Liverpool are fifth favourites to win the Champions League with a 7% chance of winning the Champions League. I need to remember the order. I think number one was 115 FC. Number two was Real Madrid. Number three was, I want to say Arsenal. But that doesn't feel like it can be right, because how can someone be ahead of us and they've never won it? But, you know, let me find it. I have got it. Third is Arsenal, fourth is Liverpool with 7%, and Barcelona are also 7% probability. I mean, Tom, you've got to be excited by these supercomputers. Predicting there's an 8% chance Arsenal win the Champions League, 24% chance it'll be Man City, 19% chance it'll be Real Madrid, 7% for Liverpool. What are you thinking about our chances in the Champions League next season? Take the current squad as is the current squad. And Adrian, obviously.
Yeah. I think we've been a little bit disrespected there, to be honest. I mean, obviously we're not quite at the level of Real Madrid or Man City right now, but, you know, Liverpool Champions League, Anfield, you know, don't need to say much more, do you? Magic happens at Anfield in European nights. You know, we won 2005. The 2005 team, nowhere near the team that we're going into, you know, next season. So, for me, it's got to go as one of the favourites, but I'd definitely give us more than a 7% chance. You know, no one in Europe is going to want to come to Anfield. That includes Real Madrid. That includes Man City. Like I said, the power of that crowd at a European night is special, to be honest. And we do have the players to back it up as well. So yeah, I'd fancy us a lot more for that than the Premier League, definitely. And I think we do have a decent chance of going all the way, to be honest with you.
Would you put us ahead of Arsenal?
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously they might be slightly ahead of us. There's not much in it. I think people think they're further ahead of us than they actually are. You know, they finished 7 points ahead of us last year. You know, it's not a massive gap to make up. And you know, we've got the European heritage, which does count for a lot in the Champions League. They've got none. So I would definitely, you know, put us ahead of them in that competition for sure.
What do you think, Brandon, of these percentages? Probabilities, not percentages. So 24% probability, 19%. I think Real Madrid's probability's got to have gone up some with Mbappe now in place. And I don't think you can ever give Arsenal an 8% probability in the Champions League, considering they've never won it. They don't know what it's like.
Right. I agree both those points. I would figure Real Madrid would be the most likely to win it, adding one of the best players in the world to a squad that just won the competition and knocked out Man City along the way. It's just weird. And then one thing I definitely learned in the last 15 years of watching is like the Champions League stuff is that being in that competition routinely and performing very well in that competition routinely does carry you through like to the end a lot more than never winning it before. It's just that's such a key to this competition is being there and winning in it. That's why Madrid continues to dominate, because they've just been there and they just know how to react. They've been outplayed in the last two Champions Leagues they've won. They've been outplayed in both those games and they still won them both. Like, it's just, they know how to do it. And that's a big key. And that's why I would not consider Arsenal ahead of anybody really on the Champions League thing until they have put one of those trophies in their cabinet. and I don't think Arteta's got it in him to put one of those trophies in their cabinet. But that's just me. I think we'd have a great chance. The squad as is, with the way Slot plays, probably I wouldn't put us as like the main favorites, maybe not even top three. I'd have to see the teams. Also with the new format, I haven't looked into enough to really wrap my head around how it all works. It seems like kind of a mess, but whatever. That probably plays into how this probability works. It's a computer. It can probably run thousands of Football Manager sims at once, and that's probably where they got their numbers from.
So the new Champions League format, as I understand it, and we don't have Helior in, so thankfully I'm not going to get corrected if I'm wrong, is there is going to be a massive league with all the teams in it, and Liverpool will be randomly selected to play against different teams. Some are high, some are low, some are whatever. The top 15 teams will automatically go into the knockout round. The next 15 teams will go in a playoff game against, 15th versus 30th or whatever it is, and they'll play against each other, and they'll all get put into the second round. And then you'll move into a knockout phase. So pretty much you'll play the exact same number of games plus one, and then you'll go into the knockout phase of the Champions League. And then I wish away goals was back, because I used to love away goals, and I think that makes it more interesting. So I think, for me, when I think about it, Liverpool are going to be playing against, yes, teams like Real Madrid, teams like Barcelona, but they're also going to be playing against stung grasshoppers and players like that. So for me, I think Slot, as he's trying to work out how to build this Liverpool team together, as he's trying to work out how to mesh the players together, he's probably going to have enough games to get through to the knockout phase of the Champions League. And by that point, he should probably have a bit of team cohesion, should probably have a plan, should probably have teams functioning together. So I think by that point, I would probably say we have more chance of being successful in the Champions League than we do the league, because if you fail 3 or 4 games in the league, it's over. If you lose 3 or 4, whereas you could lose 2 or 3 games in the Champions League, still get into the knockout phase. And once you're in the knockout phase, I think our style of play, and as the team start to come together and play together, I think it kind of comes through. I think Liverpool's best chance for a major trophy is probably the Champions League over the Premier League for me next season, based on development styles against that. Would you go along with that, Tom? Do you think that's Liverpool's best chance of a major trophy? Maybe the FA Cup, but I don't think it'll be the league, if I'm honest.
Definitely with the league. Like I said, it's the heritage in Europe. It does count for a lot. We've been there. We've done it. We know how to get over the line in Europe. The fans know how to get up for European night. So, yeah, definitely for me. And think back to 17-18 as well, the gap between us and Man City, and look what we did to them, 5-1 at aggregate. So that just shows what we can do in Europe, and that just shows, what cup competition can, throw up. Over a 38-game season, it's going to be tough to beat Man City, especially while Baldy, Pep's still there, De Bruyne is still there. Hopefully that'll be the end of them too next season. But yeah, for now, I do struggle to see us win the league, to be honest. But Champions League, like I said, anything can happen, and I always fully back us at Anfield in Europe, no matter who it's against. So yeah, definitely fancy us to go far on that at least.
I think City will struggle in the league as the court case goes on and as it builds momentum. I actually think this is probably Arsenal's best chance of winning the league, because obviously we're in transition. Man City are going to be in turmoil, so really there should be no excuse for Arteta for me to not win the league next year. But it's Arsenal, so you never know. Probably Villa will win the league. What are you thinking? Best chance Champions League, Brandon?
I would think so. I think kind of what you were saying, how 3 or 4 bad performances in the league can kind of just ruin the league season, whereas a couple bad performances in Champions League doesn't necessarily knock you out. Like, obviously, it wasn't a bad performance against Barcelona those years ago, but went down 3-0, came back and won the thing. You can get those, whereas if you get battered 3-0 a couple times in the league, it doesn't matter if you win every other game 4-0. Those 3 games probably cost you the league. So it's probably the better chance. I want to put it out. I do kind of think that court case thing could definitely hurt Man City along the way. Maybe kind of how the weight of Klopp leaving kind of seemed to maybe kind of how us run out of gas. Maybe they run out of gas as well with Pep saying he's leaving. it could definitely be a thing as well. It might be, maybe it's the Spurs year, which is always laughable, but maybe it is a year where somebody completely unknown, it could be the Leicester year where somebody completely out of left field comes in and wins a title, when I think the year that Leicester won it, I picked them to finish dead last. So what the hell do I know? So, yeah, but I do think Champions League.
We got this guy on stream. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but I think
it was the 13-year-old that we had to knock back earlier because he's 13.
But no, yeah, if we're going to like really go for, or if we're going to win something, I would put more money on winning the Champions League over winning the league this coming season.
And there you have it. So thank you very much for Tom and Brandon for joining us on this stream. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We go live every day at 7:30, so you can always join in and get involved in the conversation. And don't forget, Liverpool are on the verge of their first signing in the Slot era. Whilst he may have failed his GDPR training, which is why he's still having to go through and we're not seeing interviews of him, while he's having to learn how to pick up a box and do his manual handling, while he's having to find out where the fire escapes are in the AXA training centre, he is also getting his first signing done, and that first signing looks like it's going to be Adrian, which is really exciting for everyone involved. This has been LFC Transfer Room. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Make sure that you tune in every day. Make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you very much once again to Brandon and Tom. Take care.